Good morning, Stark Universe. First of all, apologies about the echo in the studio. It's not going to be the best sound, but we'll do our best as we can for the video demonstration. So in this first video, I'm going to go over the family of the side plank hold and activities that involve one side loading or one side stability. So we're going to go with a side lying hip raise, elbow plank hold plus a reverse fly, and then elbow knee plank, side elbow knee plank hold plus same side arm flexion extension. I'm going to try to show it front movements first, then I'm going to turn sideways to the camera so you can see from multiple angles what it should look like. One key point to maintain is that the archetype setup for the torso should be maintained for all those three, which means neutral spine in terms of sagittal plane and neutral spine in terms of frontal plane, which means the spinal curvature should be maintained neutral, lower back and the neck in both planes. So keep that in mind. Then think about what's supposed to be moving and what's supposed to be stabilizing. For the most part, when the hips are moving, most people will overuse the shoulder with something like a lying hip raise. People will favor the shoulder or dump the stability in the shoulder in favor of the hip. But what they should do is keep the shoulder stable and bias the hip. However, a lot of people are not strong in the shoulder, so they will just collapse in the shoulder. Similar situation happens when you are unable to stabilize under dynamic load. When the limbs are moving, the shoulder collapses. So I'll show you the common mistakes, and I'll show you a few repetitions of the commonly well done stuff. It's going to be a little bit on the longer side, but bear with me. Okay, cool. So the first one we're going to go over is simply side lying hip raise. It is a not true frontal plane activity. Frontal plane activity means left to right this way. There will be some front to back motion of the hips, because purely you cannot move the hips in a frontal plane alone without involving lumbar spine or somehow collapsing at the shoulder. So I'll show you what I mean by this. When you're lying from the side, once again, knees, hips, shoulders, and the head in line. So this should be archetypically set up. So it's from the front, looking at ear, shoulder, hip, and the knee should be in line from this plane. So here and here should be in line. Most common mistake is that the people will collapse here. So that shoulder closes to the ear. You want to push away like a plus on the dip from the neck. In line, in line. Once that's set up, then the hip needs to go back and down. If you can only go down, you're going to do this. Now that's the side flexion of the spine. I'm already feeling stretched out so great, but that's not what we want to train. We want to train the hip, not QL, obliques, that kind of stuff, okay? So the hips go up, that's the terminal activity, but the hips need to go back and down a little bit without collapsing at the shoulder. And the legs need to lift up and then we're up. So we want to push up and forward. It's up and forward and back and down. Up and forward and back and down. You can use the knee moving up and down as well, or you can keep the knee mid-air and focus only on the left hip. I'm going to show you from the side. So back and down, shoulder away from the ear, up and forward, back and down, up and forward. Back and down, up and forward. Back and down, up and forward. Remember the archetype posture of frontal plane stability and sagittal plane. Full straight line, pushing the shoulder away. So that's side lying hip raise. Now on top of that, we're going to add top arm flexion and extension. So I'm going to get started, so I don't get too tired. So same setup, knee, hip, shoulder, and head in line. Raise. Now all we want to do, we want to move the limbs in the sagittal plane. We don't want to go into frontal plane because your hip cannot go there. So hip can only go here, which means elbow and the knee will meet here. Nothing changes here. There's no collapse. It's up and away. It's up and forwards. It's up. It's up. Up, pause, push. Up. Up. No movement in the spine in terms of frontal plane or sagittal plane. Let's check it out from the side. Once again, remember, hips and knees, shoulders and head in line. In both planes, here, in the front, above, in front, above. So that's elbow, knee, side plank hold with the reverse, with the flexion extension. Now full side elbow plank hold with the reverse fly. Same archetype setup situation stays in terms of frontal plane and sagittal plane alignment. I like to split my feet. I like to keep the front foot forwards rather than the back foot forwards or bottom foot forwards because of the rotation. Shoulders the same, reverse fly, you should know what that is. Okay, so same setup. Only this time, split the top leg forward, back leg back. Nothing changes here. Pick that hip up, push it forward, rotate the shoulders, anchor the hand, get the head in line. 1, 2, 3, or whatever the tempo, pause. Check it out from the side. Split the stance. Plant the hand away the shoulder from the neck, from the ear. Look straight ahead. Remember, the most common issue here is the loss of integrity right here, which means people will go into side plank, they raise, and then this starts to sag, or this starts to go back, or a combination of it. And then second most common is to collapse here, so they can't maintain that plus. Hope that makes sense. Hope those three add up to you. In the next video, I'm going to quickly set up. I'm going to do a pull through from the quadruped position, and then we're going to look at Copenhagen lifts and holds. Okay? Stand by. I'm going to get the little weight, and we're going to go for a pull through. Okay, so for the pull-through, we're simply looking to maintain archetypical engagement in the plank position and then allow for arm drive to happen. It's a slow arm drive. It's a high integrity in the midsection. The most common mistakes is that people have a feet that are too narrow, so they can't get the base of support, and they can't integrate the pelvis in the midline or the shoulders. So it's the base of support that is too narrow, it's unstable pelvis or midsection, and it's unstable shoulders. Think of plank pull through as a going from a rectangle base to triangle base. Rectangle to triangle. 4 limbs on the ground, 3 limbs on the ground. 4 limbs on the ground, 3 limbs on the ground. You can see the triangle steps. So my suggestion when coaching plank pull through, the hands, the narrower the hands, the easier it technically will be, because once you lift one hand, you maintain this triangle position. The wider the feet in the plank, the wider the base of support, the better the stability of triangle. The wider the hands, the wider the rectangle, the more unstable the triangle when you take one limb or take the other limb, whether it's a shoulder tap, a pull through, reverse fly, a reach, doesn't matter, or renegade row. Wide and big rectangle, very wide and big, quite unstable triangle, lever arms are big. Narrow triangle, very stable base. Narrow rectangle kind of thing, very stable triangle. So keep that in mind. There's going to be hand position. The wider the hands, the worse it is. So I like the people with the underneath the shoulders or a little bit narrow. The feet about the shoulder width or a little bit wider. And then the rest, archetypical ideas apply for a plank position hold. I'm going to show you from both angles. The key point here is low velocity exposes errors. So slower speed shows you where the person is deficient. Also longer time exposes errors. And then wider base on the hands exposes strength imbalances or weaknesses. Okay? Let's look at it from the side first, and we're going to look at it from the front. So I'm going to get a little bit wider on my feet. I'm going to get my shoulder width on my hands. I'm going to check my plank for the mid part. I'm going to push up. Now I'm ready. So I'm going to have the kettlebell underneath. All I'm going to do is I'm going to take my hand off, brace, I'm going to drag. Steady again. I'm not going to accelerate. I'm not going to push the bell. I'm going to slowly drag. Now from the front, we'll look a little bit easier. You'll see my deficiencies or my victories. Okay? Okay. Neutral neck, screw the elbows in, midline, hand up, under, slow. Narrow hands is easier. You'll immediately see me moving less. Wider hands, harder. There should be no rolling of the pelvis, no collapse in the shoulders, no excessive arching in the back. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, any thoughts and concerns, please let me know. I'm going to go look at Copenhagen plank next. Cool?